Okay, so we're going to look today to see whether uh, the, the birth rate in not the UK but England has dropped by 9.2% in February, and that was the last valid data we had from UK Health Security Agency. That although it's called UK Health Security Agency, it's actually looking after England. So it used to be called Public Health England. Okay, and so the first thing you need to do is to download from UK Health Security Agency. You need to download COVID-19 vaccine surveillance report, 16th of June 2022, week 24, and it's from this website. I will put the link at the end below the video. Once you've got that, I'm going to open that file in Adobe Reader, which I've done here. It's a bit easy to deal with. So it's on page 21 of the document. There is this table, and it is COVID-19 vaccine surveillance report week 22, and it's table 6, overall coverage in women giving birth by monthly delivery. So it's looking at who's had the vaccine, and we're going to look at the January figures in 2021 and the January figures in 2022, and then February 21 compared with February 22. So we're going to make some comparisons. I'm just going to bring up a marked up version of this in Paint, which is easy for me to manipulate. And so I just marked up January's first, and I put them into this calculation. So basically, you take the current value, the value in January 2022, 39,276, and you take off that, away from that. This calculation here, you take it away from that last year's value in January, 41,949. Then you divide it by January's value last year, get 41,949, and multiply all that by 100, and you get minus 6.4%. So in January there was a 6.4% drop in the birth rate. It's worth pointing out, normally when we make these sorts of comparisons, we do it on the 5-year, we compare with the 5 previous years, but in this particular case, UK Health and Security Agency are not revealing the 5 years data, so we can only, I'm only going to go by last year's data and compare it with this year's data. So you have to, there is a drop, but is it just a temporary blip, or is it going to be something that's going to develop into a trend? So looking at quickly to the same again, looking at February. So February we've got last year and February this year, and we put them into the calculation, and this time we come up with minus 9.2%. So the birth rate in February is 9.2%, and yes, a 10% drop is significant, but it's obviously not caused solely by women being vaccinated, because 65%, the majority of them were vaccinated, and the majority of them were still giving birth. So that's a good point. So what am I proposing? Well, I'm proposing to go back 9 months early at the time of conception, and to look at how many were vaccinated then. Only 2.8% were vaccinated when conception was occurring, or less even, because it so because that 2.8% was women who were having children who were giving birth at that time. So maybe the ones who were but that should be an indication of how many, by the same proportion, how many were actually have had the vaccine at the point of conception. So I'd say that at conception 2.8% or less had the vaccine, and people were conceiving. Now, month on month, the number of people who haven't had the vaccine is dropping. So the question, we're not going to know until the next data release whether this trend is going to develop. All we know at the moment is that birth rates dropped by 9.2% in February. We are waiting for the data to come out for March. Is this the beginning of a trend, or is it just a blip? If the UK Health and Security Agency has got this information, and it will have, you know, it should have an early indicator what is happening. The early indicator needs to be released now. They should not delay, because it is public safety information. It's not. They're not protecting the pharmaceutical companies. They should be protecting the general public. We need to know whether the vaccines are causing issues with fertility. So yes. So we now are waiting for the March data to come out. It's the 29th of June, so we're talking data 4 months ago nearly, and we're now waiting for the data to come out for March. Will this trend continue? Who knows? Thank you for your time.